or manufactures equipment which utilize non-conventional sources of energy or uses or convert to coal or other non-conventional fuels or sources of energy in its production, manufacturing, processing operation. Provided that the final product in any of the foregoing instance involves and will involve substantial use and processing of domestic raw materials whenever available, taking into account the risk and magnitude of investment, that the foregoing definition shall not in any way limit the rights and incentive granted to less developed area enterprise provided under Title 5, Book 1 of Executive Number 226. And then the question is, ilan years yung ITH, no? Ilan years yung ITH? Pag new registered po, 6 years po. Pag new registered, 6 years po na ITH. No? 6 years from commercial operation. Pero pag new registered, non-pioneer, 4 years. Kaya importante na alam natin kung pioneer or non-pioneer. Mas mahaba po yung incentives ng pioneer sa non-pioneer. Yung pioneer is 6 years, non-pioneer 4 years. And then for the expanding firm, 3 years from commercial operation of the expansion. Okay. In exceptional cases, existing firm undertaking new activities distinct from existing operation may qualify new project subject to the setting up of a separate book of account. In such cases, only sales of such registered project shall be entitled to the ITH exemption. Export traders and service exporter shall be entitled to the ITH if they will export products and services which are new export for the Philippines or will serve new export market. Additional period of availment um, for additional, no? New registered firm, no? The ITH incentive may be extended for extra year for each of the following cases, pero the extra year should not be more than a total period of 8 years for pioneer registered enterprise. Okay. If the average cost of indigenous raw material used in the manufacture of the registered product is at least 50% of the total cost of raw materials for the preceding year prior to the extension, unless the BOI prescribe a higher percentage. If the annual or average net foreign exchange savings or earnings amount to at least 500,000 US dollar during the first 3 years of operation to be determined by the uh, BOI at the end of such year period. PESA registered enterprises in Ecozone, income tax holiday, individual registered as Ecozone, an export enterprise, free trade enterprise may chooses to avail this incentive. Note, PESA registered enjoying ITH may also enjoy the following incentives. And then the non-pioneer enterprise shall include all registered producer enterprise other than pioneer. And then also called special economic zone or selected area with highly developed, which have potential to be developed into agro-industrial, industrial, tourism, recreational, commercial, banking, investment, and financial centers. An ecozone may contain any or all of the following: industrial estates, export processing zone, free trade zone, tourist, recreational centers, and IT parks. Export enterprise engage in manufacture, assembling, or processing activity and resulting in the exportation of 100% of its production, unless a lower percentage is prescribed by PESA. Free trade enterprise engage in the tax or duty-free importation of goods or merchandise within the restricted or free trade area of an ecozone for immediate transshipment or for the storage, repacking, sorting, mixing, or manipulation, and subsequent exportation unless the PESA allow the sales of the same in the customs territory. Okay, these are the incentives. They are exempted from duties and taxes on importation into the ecozone, exemption from the payment of the real property tax on machineries and equipment they acquire and use in their productions operation during the first 3 years of such machine and equipment, and exemption from the payment of local tax license fee except for the real estate. 5%, the 5% of the gross income earned by the business enterprise within the ecozone shall be paid and remitted to the following: 3% to the national government and 2% which shall directly remitted by the business establishment to the treasurer office of the municipality or city where their enterprise is located. The 5% gross income tax shall be in lieu of all other taxes, national or local, except for the real property taxes on land owned by the ecozone developer or operator. The 5% GIT shall be available to individual registered as ecozone, export enterprise, free trade enterprise upon expiry of the ITH. Pag nag-expire po yung ITH, magko-compute po tayo ng 5%, no? Chooses to avail of the ITH at the start of its operation. Other individual registered ecozone, developer operator, export enterprise, free trade enterprise, domestic market, no? Enterprise, utilities, facilities, and tourism, no? Okay. And then, ito po yung magiging basis natin for the computation of the 5%. No? That will be the basis, the gross income. The next question is, ano po ba yung gross income? Wait lang, share lang ako. Okay. Gross income refers to gross sales or gross revenue derived from business activity within the ecozone. Dapat within the ecozone. Net of sales discount, sales return and allowances, minus cost of sales for direct costs, but do not deduct the administrative expense or incidental loss during a given taxable year. Kaya pag gross income, ignore yung mga administrative or operating expenses. Only the cost or direct cost ang deduction. And the national taxes shall meet all revenue, including regular income tax, VAT, OPT, DST, excise, custom duties, and import. Local tax shall include business and real property, except on land owned by ecozone developer or IT park building developer, other taxes, fees, and charges imposed by local government units. Developer or operator develops, operates, and maintains an ecozone and the required infrastructure facilities and utilities such as light and power system, water supplies and distribution system, sewerage and drainage system, pollution control devices, communication facilities, paved work network, administration building, and all other as may be required by the PESA. Note: the exemption from all other taxes under ITH and 5% does not include the following. No? Meaning, hindi po sila exempted. No? They are not exempted. And then the exemption from all other taxes under ITH and 5% GIT does not include the following: withholding tax at source, expanded withholding tax, and final withholding tax on income payment by PESA registered individual, withholding tax on compensation income of employee PESA registered individual, fringe benefit tax on fringe benefit given to a managerial or supervisory employees of PESA registered individual. These taxes are not taxes of PESA registered entity. Instead, these are taxes of PESA registered entities payees. Kaya that is the reason not exempted kasi these are taxes of the payees, not the payor, no? Which are withheld and remitted by the PESA registered enterprise. On the other hand, income payment received from its customer related to registered activities, if the PESA registered availing the 5% or the ITH are exempted from the withholding tax. Meaning to say, if the PESA is the payee, the payor are not allowed to deduct the withholding tax. Income by an individual registered with PESA from its registered shall be subject to such treatment and no, as may be specified in its terms of registration. Example, the ITH where such income shall be exempt from the regular income tax, the 5% preferential gross income tax if the same has been approved. However, the following shall be subject to the regular income taxes, final tax on passive and capital gain tax. Income realized by individual whose activity are not registered. On the other hand, if the income is not registered, subject to the regular tax state, no? Subject to the regular tax state. Income all other persons and entities which are not registered. Example, income payment to entities in the custom territory, to shareholders and non-registered creditors. Income of service enterprise or provider, or those providing custom brokerage, transportation, parcel, janitorial, restaurant, banking, insurance services which are required by the locator enterprise but which need not be physically based inside the ecozone. And then this is the new registered individual subject to ITH under 295 of the tax code. The ITH for 4 to 7 years depending on the location and industry priorities specified in Section 296 of the tax code. Note, to qualify for the ITH, the registered individual must comply with the requirements of Section 304 of the tax code. Okay, and then ano po ba yung custom territory? Refers to areas in the Philippines where the Philippines custom tariff laws are in force. Registered business enterprise must be engaged in a project or activity included in the strategic investment priority plan. Meet the target performance metric after the agreed time period. Install an adequate accounting system that shall identify the investment, revenue, costs, and profit or loss of each registered project or activity, or establish a separate corporation for each registered project or activity. Comply with the e-receipting and e-sales requirements, and submit annual reports of beneficial ownership of the organization and related parties. And fees means a charge fixed by law or ordinance for the regulation or inspection of business or activity. While charges refers to pecuniary liability as rent or fees against persons or properties. Effective July 1, 2020, a qualified registered enterprise shall pay an income tax equivalent to 5% of gross income in lieu of the national and local. For the purpose of 5% gross income earned, local shall not include fees and charges of the local government code. And note, to qualify for the 5% gross income tax, the registered enterprise must comply with the requirements section 304. Moreover, also those considered export enterprise may avail the 5% tax on gross income. And then individual registered as BMBE, Barangay Micro Business Enterprise or BMBE refers to any business entity or enterprise engaged in the production, processing, or manufacturing of products or commodities, including agro-processing, trading, and services, which activity are based barangay and micro business in nature. And then yung total assets, excluding the land, dapat not more than 3 million. The TDI through negotiation center in the city or municipal shall have the sole power to issue the certificate authority for BNBE to avail for the incentive. Therefore, kailangan po magpa-register sa DTI to negotiation center in the city or municipality, okay, para makakuha sila ng certificate of authority for BMBE. And then, hindi applicable sa BMBE pag sila po ay practicing profession, and then pag sinabi ko profession, where pumasa sa government licensure examination. Services shall exclude those rendered by anyone who is duly licensed by the government after having passed a government licensure examination in connection with the exercise of one profession. Example, lawyer, doctor, accountants. It shall also exclude services rendered by juridical persons such as partnership or corporation engaged in consultancy, advisory, and similar services where the performance of such services are essentially carried out through licensed professional. A business enterprise shall be considered a barangay base if number one, majority of its employees are resident of the municipality where its principal place of business is located. Its principal activity consists in the application, use of particular skills peculiar to the locality or of a raw material predominantly sourced from the area, or its business operations are confined within the territorial jurisdiction of the municipality or LGU in which principal place of business is located. Provided, however, the enterprise may establish a warehouse, buying station, sales outlet, and booking and administrative office anywhere in the Philippines, subject to the pertinent rules and legislation requirements of the concerned LGU and other government agency where such warehouse, outlets, station, and offices are established. It shall be considered a micro-business enterprise in nature and scope if the principal activities is primarily for livelihood or determined by Small and Medium Enterprise Development Council or DTI as a priority area for development or government assistance. The enterprise is not a branch, subsidiary, division, or office of a large-scale enterprise. Its policies and business modus operandi are not determined by a large scale, no? Kaya meaning hindi applicable to sa mga home office and branch or yung mga branches, no? Okay? And then how do we value the asset? Cash consisting of Philippine currency shall be valued the actual currency value. If in foreign currency, it shall be valued at the official exchange rate as prescribed by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Other assets shall be generally valued at acquisition or historical cost net on a reasonable amount for depreciation as determined under the Act if the asset is depreciable. or book value, whichever is higher. Real property shall be valued at acquisition cost net of depreciation. However, if no sufficient proof is admitted as to its acquisition cost, the same shall be valued by the zonal value prescribed by the established by the BIR. Upon approval of registration of BMBE, the Negosyo Center shall issue the certificate authority. And then validity period niya is up to 2 years. Therefore, after 2 years, kailangan po nila mag-renew. The DTI to Negosyo Center may charge a fee, therefore, shall not more than 1,000 to be remitted to the national government. The next question is, what are the fiscal incentives of a BMBE? Income tax exemption from income arising from operation. A duly registered BMBE shall be exempt from income tax on income arising duly from its operation as such BMBE. Pero hindi sila exempted sa income subject to final tax, capital gain subject to capital gain tax, compensations, income of employees, income from practice of profession received directly from client and from general professional partnership, and other income not effectively connected with the operation of the BNBE. The exemption does not extend to business taxes, VAT or OPT. The exemption does not extend to local taxes. However, the LGU are encouraged either to reduce the amount of local taxes, fees, and charges imposed, or to exempt the BMBE from local taxes, fees, and charges. They are exempted from the coverage of the minimum wage law. BMBE still receive the same BMBE employees will still receive the same Social Security and healthcare benefits as other employees. They have a priority to a special credit window set up specifically for the financing requirements of BMBE. Technology, transfer, production, and management training, and marketing assistant program for BMBE beneficiaries. MWE. The MWE shall be exempt from the payment of income tax on their statutory minimum wage, including holiday pay, overtime pay, night shift differential, and hazard pay received by such minimum wage earner shall likewise be exempted. What is MWEs? MWEs are workers in the private sectors or public sector who are paid in the statutory minimum wage. The statutory minimum wage shall refer to the rate fixed by the Regional Tripartite Wage and Productivity Board (RTWPB). The RTWPB on each region shall determine the wage rate in the different region based on established criteria and shall be the basis on exemption from income tax for this purpose. Note: an employee who has two or more employers, each paying him an SMW, shall remain to be an MWE exempt from income tax and withholding tax on the SMEW he received from each employer. However, the following income payment to MWE are taxable and subject to withholding tax: additional compensation received from his employer other than the SMW, holiday pay, overtime pay, hazard pay, and night shift differential pay. Such as commission, honoraria, fringe benefits, benefit in excess of the allowable statutory amount of 13-month pay and other benefits of 90,000, taxable allowances, and other taxable income. Income from the conduct of trade, business, or practice of profession, except income subject to final tax, in addition to his compensation income. Okay, now we will now discuss the passive income subject to final withholding tax. And then you need to memorize all of this, no? Kasi pag you don't memorize, it will be difficult for you to compute the final tax, no? Once the income subject to final withholding tax, the income is not included in the returnable ITR. Some types of income collectively referred to as passive income, like interest income, dividends, royalty income, etc., are subject to final withholding tax. Notes: to be subjected to the final withholding tax, the income must be taxable by the Philippine government. The payer must be under the jurisdiction of the BIR. This means that such income must necessarily be sourced within the Philippines. Kaya pag ang income hindi po siya sources in the Philippines, hindi po siya subject to final withholding tax, no? One of the requirement dapat earn po siya in the Philippines. The payer of the income must withhold the tax. In the case of interest income on bank deposit, the bank is the one who withhold. The income subject to final withholding tax is not returnable, meaning hindi na po siya kasama sa ITR. This means that the interest income in number 2 does not to be reported or included in the ITR of the taxpayer. Taxable taxation on passive income, this one, and then you need to memorize. Interest from any currency, bank deposit, pag ang nakamit citizen, resident alien, 20%, non-resident alien engaged in business, 20%, non-resident alien not engaged in business, 25%. Yield or monetary benefits from deposit substitute, trust fund, and similar arrangement, 20%, 20%, 25%. Royalties, 20%, 20%, 25%. Except royalties on books, literary works, and musical composition, 10, 10, and 25%. Prices more than 10,000, 20, 20, 25. Except prices 10,000 or less, included in the ITR, included in ITR. But for the non-resident alien not engaged in business, 25%. Winnings 2020, Philippine charity sweepstake and lotto winning, exempted if 10,000 or less. Exempted if 10,000 or less. But for the non-resident alien not engaged in business, 25%. Letter F. Wait lang.
Ako na nagsasabi ngayon.
Interest from depository bank under expanded foreign currency deposit system, 15%, except for non-resident citizen, non-resident alien, no? Either engaged or not engaged in business, exempted. No? Interest income from long-term deposit or investment, 5 years or more, exempt. No? Cash or property dividends received from domestic corporation or regional operating headquarters, 10 2025. Share of an individual partner in after-tax net income of a business partnership or an organization, joint venture or consortium, taxable as corporation, 10 2025. No deposit substitute, alternative form of obtaining fund from the public other than deposit. Public means borrowing from 20 or more lenders at any one time. Examples, bank acceptance, promissory notes, repurchase agreement, government debt instrument, and securities. If the debt instrument is not a deposit substitute, interest income shall not be subjected to final withholding tax. Instead, the interest income shall be included in the taxpayer's ITR, and the same shall be subject to creditable withholding tax. Long-term deposit or investment certificate, certificate of time deposit or investment certificate with a maturity of at least 5 years issued by a bank and not by a non-bank financial intermediary. The exemption only covers interest income. Any gain from trading such certificate is not covered by the exemption. Non-resident alien not engaged in business shall not be exempted. The long-term deposit or investment certificate must be issued by a bank, maybe in the form of savings, common, or individual trust fund, deposit substitute, investment management account. Investment must have a maturity of at least 5 years from the time it is held. Investment must be held for at least 5 years for interest income to be exempt. Pre-termination of investment. If the deposit or investment is predetermined before the fifth year, the entire income shall be subject to a final withholding tax by a depository bank from the proceeds of the long-term deposit or investment based on the holding period of the taxpayer. Less than 3 years, 20%, 3 years to less than 4 years, 12%, 4 years to less than 5 years, 5%. A long-term investment instrument with a maturity of 30 years was bought by Mr. A from a bank. The instrument was sold successively to other investors. The holding periods of investor are as follows. Mr. A is non-resident citizen holding period 3 years, 12%. Mr. B resident alien 2 years, 20%. Non-resident alien engaged in business 5 years exempted. Non-resident alien not engaged in business 5 years, 25%. Government debt instruments and securities shall be considered deposit substitute irrespective of the number of the lenders at the time of origination if the same are to be traded or exchanged in the secondary market. Interest on foreign currency deposit is taxable if received by an individual taxpayer, except a non-resident individual who may be a non-resident citizen or a non-resident alien. An overseas contract worker shall be exempted to the 15% final withholding tax on interest on foreign currency bank deposit in the Philippines. However, if the deposit account is jointly in the name of an OCW and other individual, spouse, or dependent who is a Philippine resident, only 50% exempted and the other 50% is subject to 15% final withholding tax. And then interest income from saving and time deposit with their credit cooperative exempted from the final withholding tax. Take note, interest income from savings and time deposit of members with their credit cooperative exempted from final withholding tax. Ano yung mga form? Pag 619F, monthly remittance, 1601 FQ, quarterly remittance, for monthly remittance, we file not later than 10th day of the month following the month when the withholding was made. Filed for the first 2 months of each calendar quarter. Quarterly remittance filed not later than last day of the month following the close of the quarter during which a withholding was made. And then attach the quarterly alpha list reflecting the name of the payees, their team, amount of income paid to each, and final withholding tax withheld from each. And then for the quarterly remittance, final withholding tax on interest paid on deposit and deposit substitute, we use BIR form 1602Q and file not later than the last day of the month following the close of the quarter. And then for the annual information return 1604F filed on or before January 31 of the taxable year following the calendar in which the income payment subject to final withholding tax were paid to accrued, no? Annual alpha list of payees income payment and final withholding tax shall be reflected in the schedule of 1604F. Okay. Ito, di ba wala na itong partly within, partly without? Pag ang Philippines equal sa foreign country o mas malaki Philippines, automatically Philippines. Pero pag mas malaki yung foreign country, automatically foreign country. Okay? Again, hindi pa tayo tapos. Tingnan ko nga itong capital gain. Hindi pa tayo tapos na. Okay. So, I suggest next meeting na lang to para sa Friday, mamimit ko na yung second class para sabay kayo. Okay na po ba? Okay na po ba?
Yes, sir.
Opo, sir.
Para sabay kayo. Kasi ang hirap kasi pag hindi kayo sabay. Bali sa Friday, bibilisan ko sa kanila. No? Bibilisan ko para sabay sila. Tapos, sagutan nyo yung quizzer ha para try na sasagutan natin next meeting yung quizzer. No? Pero bago tayo magsagot ng quizzer, tatapusin ko muna. O sige, hanggang dyan muna po. Bye-bye po. Bali next meeting ano tayo na sa par naman, no? Pero ganun pa rin, no? Medyo dadahan-dahanin ko para sabay kayo na Friday class ko. Sige, bye-bye.
Okay po, sir. Thank you po.
Thank you po, sir.
Mm.